Hey, Montel Williams here. Look, I've got some incredible news to share with you. I want to tell you about my brand new book that's coming out that's called The Sailing of the Intrepid. Now, this book is more than just an historical account. It's a tribute to the brave men who served aboard the USS Intrepid and a celebration of their extraordinary legacy. Writing this book was such an incredible story, and I'm really thrilled to be able to share it with you. So don't wait to grab your little piece of history. The book is available right now to order. You can go to montelmedia.com, and you can even get a limited autograph signed copy. Now, thank you so much for your support. I can't wait for you to read this incredible story of the sailing of the Intrepid. I'll see you on the pages. Welcome back to another edition of Let's Be Blunt with Montel. Today we're coming to you from an incredible dispensary called Medicine Woman in New Jersey. And we have a legendary guest with us today. I'm telling you, you're not going to want to miss this. First up, he's a true icon who shaped the culture for decades. He's a hip-hop pioneer, an incredible celebrated actor, and a powerful force in the cannabis world. Please welcome the one and only Mr. Hey!
What's up, Montel? It's an honor, man. It's an honor. I never made it to your TV show, but I'm on your podcast.
I know, man. I wish I would have had you on the TV show. And also joining us and with us are the masterminds behind some of the most sought-after genetics in the entire industry, known as Mr. and Mrs. Soul. Please welcome to the show Rick and Laura Campanella, the legends behind Brothers Grimm Seeds. Thank you guys for being a part of the show, too.
Thank you.
We're going to chat a little bit in a second, but I'm going to start this off by chatting with Ice, man. I'm telling you, I wish I had you on the show because you could have been on there. I stayed on the air until 2007.
Yeah, back in the day, we were kicking up dust. It was, it was a battle for everything, for free speech, for, us speaking as young black kids out of South Central LA. And, we were up against the wall, but I know that you understand how you have to push the line. So that's why we already respected you. We were like, Montel's a black man on TV. We already know that's difficult. And then, you push the line and you stood for what's right. We listened to what you was talking about. So you always have respect, and that coming, from where I came from, we didn't really like what was on the radio, what was on television,
Right.
but there were certain people that we was like, okay, they're official, And knowing you after that and your endeavors, it made me even respect you more. I know you're military, I was military, and I already know what that takes to be that, So you ain't no average brother. Let's just put it like that.
Thank you, my friend, and neither are you.
Yeah.
Your story is is so broad, man. We could be sitting here for 2.5 hours, and I know you don't have that much time, so I'm not going to do that to you. But, let's back up for a second. You were raised in South Central, but you were really born in New Jersey, Jersey City, right?
No.
And then,
Yes.
but I want you to tell people a little bit about your story that most people may not know. You were orphaned, man,
Yeah.
by the 7th grade.
Right.
You had two parents. Your mother passed away of a heart attack.
Mhm.
Your father passed away of a heart attack. So I want to take the iced tea of the day and let's go back to 7th grade for a second. And tell me, my man, first off, when your mom passed away, I know you've talked about the fact that you weren't necessarily that close, but you knew she loved you.
Well, no, I wasn't. It's not that I wasn't that close. You just don't remember. I was in the 3rd grade. So memories of my mother, it's scary now to think about how much I don't remember.
Right.
And I'm looking at my daughter now. I have a 9-year-old, and she just started 4th grade. I'm like, is she going to remember all these 3rd grade, all the memories we have of her? But when she becomes an adult, how much of this will she remember?
Let me tell you a very funny story. When you talked about, because I'm going to ask you this about your military career. I spent 22 years, my career spanned 22 years in the military,
Right.
both the Marine Corps and the Navy. I spent a lot of time on submarines, man. I look back at that now and think, was that me? Yeah, it was me, because I couldn't go on a submarine today.
Right.
But back then, I did 90 days, 100 days on a submarine on an individual mission. And one of the things I used to do to pass the time, because our missions were really, 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 they were all top secret, and they were what they call black ops. So we were in the middle of it, okay? And so sometimes for me, I would work an 18-hour day, get 3 hours of sleep, work a 22-hour day, get 6 hours of sleep, work a 12-hour day, get a couple hours off, and have a nice time. And the only way I could relax, you were just saying, a lot of us don't remember, and this is something that you might want to do for yourself sometime, is that I used to lay in my bed And because my rack on board a submarine was under the executive officer's rack. So I used to lay in my rack. It was so small, so tight, I had to slide out,
Right.
turn over to get it back in.
Like on a tour bus.
On a tour bus. Terrible, man.
Right.
So, but I used to try to catch some good sleep.
Right.
And what I would do is I'm a very firm believer in understanding I'm the only one who owns a definition of who I am.
Right.
But for me to own that definition, I have to know who I am, what formed me. So I have pushed myself on multiple occasions to lay in a bed and try to think what I did in the 3rd grade. I thought about what I did in the 2nd grade.
You
I thought
forced the memories.
Forced them. There were times, like, you know, I'm maybe 25 to 45, I never thought about remembering the fact that I'm a product of busing. I come from Maryland.
Right.
So I never thought about or captured the memories of the fact the first time that little school bus pulled up at this all-white school and there were parents outside with signs and yelling racial epithets. This is 1962, man. And, you know, I kind of gotten rid of that, you know. I would have
we tend to do that.
Yes. We want to forget the things that are uncomfortable for us, but those things that are uncomfortable for us are what make us who we are today.
Right, true. Well, 3rd grade, my mother passed away. I remember, what I do remember is that we were watching Batman on television. Remember the Batman?
Oh, yeah, I remember it. Yep.
Black, and my mother's head leaned back and she started breathing. And we lived in a duplex house. And my father just moved me over to the neighbors. And, you know, next thing you know, the ambulances came and this, that, and the third. And he came over later and he said, your mother's gone.
Oh.
And it's crazy though, but I don't really remember crying. I kind of was like, what does gone mean? I was too little. I didn't know I didn't understand death. And then back then, they didn't let kids, like you see kids come to funerals now and all that stuff. That's not how it works.
That's right. They did not. People need to remember that. They didn't.
They separated us from that. I would be with my aunt. So the only thing I remember about the funeral was after the funeral, relatives came to our house and here's some cold shit. They stole all my mother's furs.
What?
And jewelry.
They went through all the shit. That's crazy, man. But that's also what they did back then.
Yes.
It's
cold. My father was hot, but, you know, he let the family in and they went upstairs during the, you know, the after wake or whatever thing and ripped us off.
Wow.
And I remember that anger in him. He couldn't believe it, you know, and he was just like, yo, he couldn't handle it. So anyway, I was with him until the 7th grade. Then we had a housekeeper. And I was with him until the 7th grade. And then when he passed away.
Were you there when he passed away too?
I was at school.
Okay.
And I remember they called me in the principal's office and they all had those faces. And I was like, your dad passed away today. Now, the thing of it is my father, when my mother passed, my father worked. He was a working man. He fixed conveyor belts. But at night he would dress like a player. And he would go out and handle his business and do his things. And I remember he used to take me on, I guess now I know what they were. He would take me on dates and I would be in the backseat of the car and he would throw White Castle burgers back there to me. And he'd go up wherever and do whatever he was doing and come back. I didn't know what he was doing.
Gotcha.
I thought he was having business meetings.
Right.
But that's how, I didn't have a babysitter.
Right.
I was just eating 25 White Castle cheeseburgers and stuff. I'm sitting back there waiting on Daddy to come back downstairs. But that was it. So when he passed, they sent me to Los Angeles to live with his sister who I had never met. And at that point, I was bused to Palms Junior High School, white junior high school in LA, Culver City. It was cool. First thing I learned there was the white girls love black guys. We used to get off the bus, and it was like the Jackson 5 was getting off the bus. And the white boys liked us because we was good at sports, so it was no racism over there. But then I wanted to go to Crenshaw High School. After busing through junior high, I said I could walk to Crenshaw, which was only like less than a mile away from where I lived. I lived in View Park, upper scale black community. My aunt was a social worker. And when I went there, I was introduced to the gangs. And the kids that were gangbanging had been gangbanging all through junior high school. The sets were already correct. I was not in LA, you're not in a gang, you're from a gang. The neighborhood dictates what gang you're in. and I had to navigate that for 3 years.
And you navigated that. And one of the things I think you talked about in your memoir, excuse me, is that you used to have to not lie to your brothers or your boys, but you had to kind of fake them out, telling them that, like, I'm gonna ditch school, but you ditch school and go right back to school, right?
Well, no, in school, I had to be cool. So, there was 3 cats that came from my area. We convinced them that there was more of us, right? So we had a gang up here. So that was, don't mess with us because there's a lot of us from over here. But then, no, I did good. I was academically, I was good in school. I got good grades. But to be cool, I would get a hall pass. And I'd go to the crap game. They had the crap game out by the handball courts. I'd be over there with everybody ditching. They thought I was ditching. I had a pass. I'd already passed my class. So then at the 20-week report card when I was in the 12th grade, I had enough credits to graduate early. They're like, how the hell you graduate? I'm like, no, I got all. I also learned how to max out summer school. Like in summer school, you do summer school for 6 weeks, take all the hard classes during summer school. So I would take algebra during summer school.
And most people don't know that the summer school classes were easier than the regular ones, correct?
Right.
Because the teacher didn't want to be there either.
Right.
So they would try to get you through.
Right. So instead of doing a whole year or something with 100 tests, they teach you something and test you the next day on it so you could retain the information. So I was able to get through school and I was pretty much I wasn't on the honor roll, but I was damn close. And that's basically my life. And then when I got out of school, I left my aunt's house when I was 17 because I was getting $250 Social Security from my past parents. And I told my aunt I wasn't getting along with her. I was just like, you don't want me here. I mean, let me go. I said, give me that $250. You'll never see me again. She said, you can't live off this. I said, give it to me. So she signed a Social Security check over to me. I found an apartment in the recycler for $100 a month by Manual Arts on Kansas Avenue. I went to the guy, I said, look, I'm young, but I'm a guarantee I'll pay the rent. I'll have the check come to you. You get the check, take out the rent, and you give me the difference. And the old man was like, okay. And he gave me a single apartment with a Murphy bed, and I have never dealt with a living relative since. I've been on my own ever since. Wow. And I would take $100 a month, and I would buy food. I'd take the other 50, and we would buy weed. And we would buy, this is when you get like a pound of weed. It had stems and everything
Seeds.
else. And it was a 5 fingers.
Brick
Remember
weed,
that?
brick weed.
The big bag and stuff like that. And my guys would make stencil joints, these long joints, and they would sell them for $1. And we were selling weed. I never smoked it. I was just like, yo, we just moving it. And that wasn't working. And then by having my own apartment, I got my girl pregnant. I wasn't getting a lot of sex in high school till I got to the 12th grade. When I got to the 12th grade, I didn't know you can get a girl pregnant that easy. So now she's pregnant, and I'm like, I'm out here half-ass doing it. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna go in the Army. So I enlisted for the Army. I ended up at 25th Infantry Division. I did 4 years in the military. And the only thing that got me out the military was I had a sergeant that was a Ranger. He looked at me one day, and my last name's Morrow, and he said, Morrow, you're here because you cannot make it in civilian life. And I was like, Now,
challenge you, right?
Right.
Challenge you.
So I went back to the barracks, and I'm like, well, I kind of did get here because I had a kid, but fuck that dude. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So sometimes one of those things, it's a pivotal point, and I'm like, I can make it. I do my 4 years, I get out, welcome home, all my boys are criminals. And everybody's like, yo, this is what's going on right now. We're robbing jewelry stores, we're hitting licks. And due to the fact I had learned all this military stuff, I was able to add that to what they were doing. And 10 years solid I've never been caught, I've never been arrested. Because to me, I was like, the getaway is more important than the lick.
And then wait, but at this same time, were you dabbling a little bit in rap? You were dabbling, you were always a poet? No, nothing?
I didn't start rapping until I was 27.
Gotcha.
So I was just hustling.
You had a friend who said something to you about making a change, right? Changing your life?
Now the change came as I started to rap. And what happened was we're hitting these licks, we're doing all this stuff, but you know, hip hop was something that happened. I got kind of caught up in hip hop in the army and all that kind of stuff because the guys from New York, and I wanted to do it, but you know, at the time, hip hop was goofy to street cats. They're like, why the fuck you want to rap? Man, we get money. Like, what are you doing? Like, you know, so I'm like, I know this. And then what happened, one by one, the cats, like I said, I looked up to started going under.
Got it.
So I'm just like, man, my days are numbered in low digits eventually, because we had a thing. If everybody in the street knows your name, so do the cops. They coming for you next. The reason you're not high enough, but now they're going and you're starting to rise. So I'm like, you know what? So I started to rap, and then there was a point where I did get my records out and everything started to happen. I had a meeting with my crew. That's what you read in the book, where I told them, I said, I'm done. I'm cold turkey. I'm not breaking the law no more. Now I'm known. And I said, to the point that I cannot tell you, Montel, what you shouldn't do because we did it together. I'm not going to do that. But talk to me like I'm bugged. Talk to me. Don't tell me anything. I don't want to know anything. I want to be able to pass a polygraph. I don't want to know any of the whatever you guys are doing, because I'm going straight. I'm legit. You know, don't just have fun and get high and then start segue into a fucking murder or some shit. I don't want to know.
Right.
Just don't tell me. I'm not. And talk to me like I'm bugged. Like I don't know. I don't want to be the cause of any of you guys going under. But I'm out. And I was always a stand-up guy. I never snitched. I never ran. There was nobody could say anything about it. They was like, good luck. Now, my book, I did a book called Split Decision. At that meeting, I had another guy with me named Spike, who was my crimey. He wanted to get out too, but criminals have this thing where they like, I got to get this war chest. I got to get a certain amount of money, and then I could stop. Well, of course, going for that, he set up 2 robberies, and during the course of one robbery, somebody got killed, which was never our MO. My MO was never to hurt nobody. I never hurt nobody. I've never raped nobody. I've never hurt nobody. I've never killed nobody. So I can speak about this shit. But my whole thing, if we were a criminal organization, I'd say, I don't want anybody to get a fingernail broke, because I know the police will come after you for a certain amount of time for money, but they'll come after you forever if somebody gets hurt. So I'm like, and then also we wouldn't get caught because we would hit a spot and we might get $100,000. And then those people say it was 4 white guys and they took $1 million. So they don't want us to get caught.
Right.
So there was a reason. We knew what we were doing. So I never broke in people's houses. It was always the right thing. But he ended up catching a life sentence. And he did end up doing 26 years on that.
Wow.
And we wrote a book together called Split Decision, which just shows you like that one decision can change the trajectory of your entire life. So, yeah. So one thing led to another, Montel, but so that's what it is. So, you know, once I got out of the game, I was able to use that into music, talking about the dangers of the game, the hustle, how it always ends. Because I always say it's fun in the beginning, but it's pain in the end. Sure. And anybody who's ever been involved, they're not going to tell you. It might seem glamorous at the moment, but it always goes bad. So I've always Ice-T music. I always try. I say Ice-T is a guy who wanted to be this super hustler, player, everything. And I was running down this road, and I got to the end of the road, and I saw there was a cliff. And my life has been me on the same road, running back up it, telling the other players, like, don't. It ain't work. It looks good, but it ain't. It's going to go bad. And some listen. Some cats listen on the way to jail. Like, yo, Ice, I played myself. You told me. And I, you know, and that's been like my thing, you know, is to warn the hustlers.
Sure. I mean, from Rhyme Pays to the OG Original Gangster, you didn't just make music, man. You really kind of set the entire trajectory of what is gangster rap, on its movement. I mean, when you came out with Cop Killer, I remember those days, man. I can remember the people just attacking you. Did you think you were going to survive that time?
Well, you know, they named it gangster rap. The press named it gangster rap. We didn't have a name for it. Then they try to call reality rap, but I'm like, this isn't everybody's reality. This is just my reality. It got the title gangster rap when NWA came out, and Cube said, straight out Compton, crazy motherfucker named Ice Cube from the gang called Niggas with Attitudes. So the press said it's gangster rap. So we were like, all right, that's a good title for it, gangster rap. So then I said, well, if this is gangster rap, I'm the original gangster. So that's where OG came from.
Got it.
But because I had 2 albums out before NWA came out, but my stuff was more player. But we used to tell them we'd turn this P into a G real quick, just because I got the feeler suit and the perm. I got a Uzi, you know, like don't get it twisted because we fly, you know. Don't get it messed up. We might not look like the gangbangers, but we still got that in us.
But at the same time, this is happening. Is that when SVU started?
No,
it was a couple of years after that, right?
No, what we doing? I'm doing this music. Then I decided to do Body Count. Now, Body Count's where Cop Killer came from. That's my metal band, which is still hitting hard. And that just came from going on tour with Public Enemy now. Public Enemy got me put knowledge into the rap too. We're not just doing gangster stuff. We're talking about how we see politically why we're in this situation, and we feel we got to break the law. We don't want to. I mean, we're just trying to survive, man. Give us another way. So we go out and tour, and in Europe, the white kids is moshing off of PE. And I seen a mosh pit. I'm like, man, I want some of that, you know? So I had a friend named Ernie C., who grew up with me at Crenshaw, and we did the band Body Count. And the first album had the song Cop Killer on it.
Got it.
And Cop Killer was a protest
Dude, they were having congressional hearings about this, my brother. You know that, right? Yeah, I mean, don't you find it shocking that after all that pushback, they would then open their arms and let you become a part of Hollywood?
Look, I ain't really give a fuck because I'm not that type of person. I'm just kind of like, what I gotta say is more important than where it makes me land. You know, the textbook term of sellout means they give you enough money that you stop talking, you know? And I got to say what I got to say because I got to look at myself in the mirror. So Cop Killer was a protest record. The Cop Killer, I was singing Talking Heads. I mean, I was singing Talking Heads, Psycho Killer, and I walked into my rehearsal hall and my drummer said, we need a cop killer. I said, why? He said, because the cops is out here shooting motherfuckers, dragging motherfuckers out of their cars, doing their dirt. This was before Rodney King. He said, if somebody would kill a couple of them, they would be back on their heels. You know, it's almost like we need a cop killer vigilante, someone who would go after them so they would slow up. So I started writing the hook. I said, cop killer, it's better you than me. Cop killer, fuck police brutality. This is a guy that's angry at police brutality. We made the record, shit hit the fan. I was at home, my boys called me, say, yo, the fucking president's on TV talking about you. We turned the TV on. It was Dan Quayle and Ice-T, and then George Bush and Ice-T. We were like, oh.
Newt Gingrich, the whole list of,
fucking Ollie North said he should be tried for sedition.
Right.
Dude, let me tell you, very few people will get the president of the United States, a real president, not this one, but a president to say your name in anger. When the president says your name in anger, that's safe for like Saddam Hussein. That's not no normal motherfucker on the street.
Right.
So they say that, immediately you feel it, like the CIA, the FBI, the NSA, everybody, they do deep checks on you. Because if the president says Montel Williams, mad, they got to check, because his next question could be, what do we know about him?
Right.
We got his blood type, those checks happen because I think he's a rapper. I think, no. When they go in, when they do that, you feel it. You feel it. Like, I got audited 3 times in 2 years.
Every one of your friends got calls?
Everybody got called. My daughter got called. I got ice cream trucks parked in front of my house in the middle of the winter and shit like that. You know, so it was a moment in time. But, you know, the thing of it is, now 20 years later, I've been vindicated, because when I was yelling this stuff, everybody thought cops came and got cats out of the tree because there was no video cameras. Now everybody's seen The cops can be fucked up to people, and now they're like, you told us. I said, yeah, I was telling y'all, but you don't live where I live. You don't understand. And now this is what I know by playing the cops on Montel. This is what I've learned playing the cop for 27 years. It's not as much racism as it is profiling you. And when they're profiling you, they're profiling to see, can you fight them back? That's what they're doing. So like in Law and Order SVU, they'll say, they live on the Upper East Side, tread lightly. What's that mean?
Yeah, what's that mean?
That means these people are wealthy. They can fight us back. If you're in the hood, treat them anyway. Make them sit on the curb because they
don't have the money to fight you back.
But what they can do now is march.
Correct. And what they can do now is put it up online, and 50 million people can see it at the same time.
So now the cops is back on their heels. Now they know. But prior to this, they didn't.
They're back on their heels, but at the same time, they recognize that their bosses don't give a shit. So do I really need to be on my heels right now?
True.
What we see is going on. I mean, look, juxtapose this for a second. Look back at the second when that song came out. You were
Public Enemy
one. Yeah, seriously. I mean, see, you were Public Enemy number one. And then all of a sudden somebody said, let's take Public Enemy number one and put him on a TV show.
Yeah.
Dude, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't even ring a bell in my. Look, I went through, I don't know if you know this or not, but my contract came through. I signed my contract with Sumner Redstone of Viacom. He was in the room when the signature was put down. And, this is a really strange time in America back then. But, I think part of the reason why I got my show was because of my military lineage and the fact that even till today, people, you can't tell me what I am. You can't tell me I'm a Democrat, Republican.
Right. I'm not either.
I'm neither. I deal with issues, one issue at a time.
Both wings are on the same bird.
Correct. Absolutely. So, I mean, when you go back in time, when they decided to put you on that show, man, I can remember, I even remember having conversations with some folks about, how did this happen?
Well, I'll tell you how it happened.
Okay.
Started with New Jack City, where
yes,
I got Mario Van Peebles put me in a movie. I was on the toilet talking shit, and I said maybe if they could find one molecule in my body that really gave a fuck, they could angle me. And he overheard that, and he said, whoever said that got to be in my movie. Next thing you know, I'm at Warner Brothers. They show me the script. I'm like, wait a minute. These are all the lines. I mean, I'm not no actor. You can do it. He's a police. You can do it. He's got a fucking dreadlocks. I got a perm. Like, I was like, it was everything. And then I just talk to people. They say, do the movie, Ice. Do the movie. Play the cops. Now, see, here's something I got to make clear to people as far as my stance with the cops. I was a real criminal. And to a real criminal, the cops aren't the enemy. They're the opponent. We know we're going to break the law. We know what we're going to do is illegal, but they ain't going to catch us. So we don't hate the law. Actually, the law creates the margin. If I was a drug dealer, cocaine has to stay illegal so I can make money. If it becomes legal, it's worthless. So they're just players in the field. If I'm going to rob a bank, I know I can't rob it. And you're going to try to catch me. Like Heat is the best movie about that, how the respect for each other is. So I don't hate the cops. I hate racists and I hate bullies. Okay, if you happen to wear a badge, then you fall in that category. But I don't dislike the police. I see the cop. I'm not breaking the law no more. I need you to watch my car, motherfucker. I'm not tripping. Now, so I do New Jack City. Next thing you know, I'm in Johnny Mnemonic with Keanu Reeves. I'm doing all these movies. So I get a call. I got Fab Five Freddy over my house, and Andre Harrell, rest in peace, was working with Law and Order, New York Undercover. And he's like, you over Ice-T's house? Tell him to come be on my TV show. I'm like, nigga, I do movies. Like, what are you talking about? I'm in Hollywood Hills. He said, oh, black people, oh, you too big now. Huh? That's they pull us, right? They pull that on it. So I was like, okay, give me a bad guy role, and I'll do it. So I played Danny Up on a New York Undercover, Dick Wolf. Dick Wolf said, I love Ice. I don't want to kill him. Will he do 2 more episodes? I did that. Then I did Swift Justice. I played a gangster. Then I did Law and Order Exiled. I played a pimp. They killed me with a bowling pin, right? Then I did a show called Players with Costas Manlar and Frank Hughes, where we were con artists that were ex-cons working for the FBI. Then I got SVU. So I had played a bunch of gangsters. So now I wasn't afraid to play a cop because I did it in New Jack City.
Right.
And I understand that the audience knows, everybody by now knows exactly who Ice-T is. So they're like, play the cop. You're a cop. Fuck it. We like it. Now, one good thing about acting, playing a cop and a gangster is the exact same acting.
Got it. Yeah, got it.
It's the exact. If I told you a gangster, you walk in here, you got a gun, you want some answers, and you got an attitude that there will be a consequence if you don't answer it correctly. That's the police.
Correct.
So a lot of times when you see me interrogating somebody, I'm not thinking police. I'm like, motherfucker, you better tell me what I need to know. and that comes across as the cop, but it's really, I'm in my mind, it's the same exact acting.
20 plus years, my brother.
27.
27 years.
I'm the longest running actor in television history in a continuous role, on the longest running show in television history. Ha! How? Hence my motto, I told him earlier, you don't guide life, you ride life. There's no way. You could have put a gun to my head and said, you'll be the longest running cop. I was like, you got to shoot me, man. Shoot me. It's not going to happen. And here I am.
Yeah.
And you know what it is, Montel? I think I've been outspoken and I think I've done some things, but I always quote Fargo. It seemed like the right thing to do at the time. Would I do some of these things again? No. But at that moment in my life, the way I saw the world, that's what I did.
And all along that way, and this is something that I think like a lot of people aren't going to understand when I say it this way, but all along that way, you were in the game, and cannabis has been in the game since, I'm telling you, I smoked my first joint when, I'm going to get myself in trouble, but I smoked my first joint when I was in the 8th grade, ninth grade. Why? Because back then I played in a band, and all the guys in the band were 22 and older. So we used to play in clubs all over Baltimore, all over DC, Delaware. And, like I couldn't even walk in the front door of half the clubs that I worked in because I was underage.
Yeah.
So I had to come into the kitchen. It wasn't because I was black, it's because I was underage.
Right.
I had to come into the kitchen. And then we would have a break and the band would all disappear and go out to this van.
Right.
And they'd leave me sitting on the back steps. I'm like, I look over that van had clouds coming out of it. And I was like, what y'all doing? And finally, one of my bandmates said, all right, if you be cool, you can handle this. And find out, I know immediately if you can't handle this, you can get in the van with us on the next break. I got in the van with him. I never looked back.
I used to have this thing under my house when I had my first apartment, and it was like a staircase, and it was a closet under the staircase. That the homies, we turned that into the gas chamber. They would go in there and smoke weed. And it was like the most serious contact, like you couldn't see somebody in the room and stuff. So I've been on contact high. I'm not afraid of marijuana. And the only reason I was able even to get into the business is that I was like, I never seen it hurt nobody.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I've never seen it hurt nobody.
And that's why you're talking about history like that in a sense, because that's really what it is all about when it comes to cannabis history. People at home need to understand there has never been a death from cannabis itself. There is one death that they are trying to associate with cannabis, but that probably had nothing to do with the cannabis as much as it did the fact that a person who was using it had a pre-existing condition that was exacerbated by the fact that they probably got some funky fungus-based cannabis. I don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody ever figured out what happened.
Else on the
it could have been one person died. That was about 10, 12 years ago.
Bullshit.
So yeah, bullshit. But I mean, let's talk about the fact that part of the discussions that's not being held when it comes to cannabis is that America doesn't understand this country was built on cannabis.
Yes,
This country was built on hemp. People don't get this. They think the country was built on cotton and tobacco. Hell no. Let's go back to 17. Let's go back to not 17. Let's go back to 1650, 1640s. Every ship that left Europe with a huge container of hemp seeds. People don't know, why would they have hemp seeds? Were they smoking pot? No, fool. Hemp was known to be one of the most protein-laden plants on the planet. So they went to sea eating hemp porridge. When we got to the United States, we started growing hemp. Well, first off, why? Because hemp
Makes paper.
every sail, every rope, the word cannabis comes from cannabis. People don't get this. Every one of our forefathers, every one of them, from George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, all of them said, how could you come up with a document called the Declaration of Independence without being high? Sorry, I'm just saying it. All men are created equal.
And it's on hemp paper.
What? And it's on hemp paper.
Right.
Yes. And most people don't know you could actually pay your taxes in 1701 to 1710 with hemp. Did you know that? You could pay your taxes. If you were a farmer and you grew hemp, you could pay your taxes and your taxes were covered. So, going back to this, when you were talking
The first Bible was printed on hemp.
Yes, correct.
I was just saying, no, I just never had any problem with weed. Like, everything with iced tea, early iced tea is going to be related to my life because, like I say, coming from being an orphan, being in the streets, having to figure it out. I had to figure out what I needed to do and what I didn't need to do to stay survive. One of our rules in the crew was anyone on drugs, we had to excommunicate them. But we counted drugs would be cocaine and heroin because a person on coke will rob you and apologize to you while they robbing you. Man, I'm sorry, Montel, man. I just got to do this, man. No, I love you though, but I'm gonna have to give you a couple bullets too because you might come after me. So that that's coke and crack. But weed, we never had a problem with weed.
You never see anybody smoke a joint, go out and try to rob a liquor store. It doesn't happen. I ain't
Or
seen
start a fight.
Start a fight, right?
No, chronic. We say what chronic does for you, it gives you chronic delay. You know what chronic delay is?
Yeah.
Chronic delay is you want to go to the store, Ice? Yeah.
4 seconds later.
Chronic delay. Yeah, I'm gonna go to the gym.
Okay.
Later. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, man. Right.
So, and now as I've been older, okay, I've indulged in gummies. I still don't smoke anything. I'm not afraid to smoke. I just don't smoke. But I do gummies, and now you might catch me with a drink in my hand. But I don't sit home and drink, but I'm out. I socially drink. I pop some champagne with you.
You're talking about a THC drink.
Cran and vodka. No, real liquor.
Oh, real liquor. Okay, gotcha.
I'll drink a little. I'm sip it, but I don't really like to be intoxicated.
See, no, it's really funny because, man, I'll tell you, I started again in the 9th grade, but people would think, oh, geez, you must have failed out of school. No, I was the president of my class.
Right.
My junior year and senior year. I was a student on the Board of Education in Anne Arundel County my senior year. I was a student. I was the deputy parliamentarian for the Chesapeake Regional Association of Student Councils. I was on the Maryland Association of Student Councils. Cannabis did for me something that, I don't know, maybe I'm on that 10%, but instead of making me delay for 3 seconds,
it sped you up.
Puts my butt to work.
I love it.
I mean, I'm telling you, man, I could take on 20 things at the same time if I got a little cannabis in me. So when I say I haven't looked back, I'm saying since my 9th grade in high school, I don't believe, if I've gone one day without consuming some form of cannabis, I can't even remember it. And I can remember a lot of shit in my life, but I can't remember the one day that I didn't go.
That's crazy. I'm like that about getting money, though. See, I'm a hustler. So
Gotcha.
If I don't make money every day, I get physically ill.
What just happened?
Sick.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I can't, I'm hustling backwards right now. Everybody goes on vacation. I can't even vacation. I'm like, man, look, I don't know. And the reason I like to make money is I spend money at an alarming rate.
Gotcha. Well, talk about spending money at an alarming rate. You put together this facility.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm here at again, it's called
The Medicine Woman.
Medicine Woman. This is an incredible, really, really nice. Give out some stats, let people know where they got to go if they come to New Jersey, where they should be.
We're at 660 Tunley Avenue in Jersey City. And the cannabis, the Medicine Woman really is a franchise from my friends Luke and Cherish Burnett out of California. When I got the connection, the chance to have basically found out they were going to legalize cannabis recreationally in Jersey, I called them and I said, I might be able to get a license because I live here, I was
You've been doing some work with the governor.
Everything.
And I've been doing some work with the governor here too.
Right. And so, actually my partner, Mickey Benson, was doing a fundraiser for the governor. And I asked the governor how he felt about cannabis. And he said that I'm going to legalize. So I thought I had an inside lane. So I immediately my brain started working, my hustler, but I said, let's get into business. So I called my friends, I asked them, I said, would you mentor me? And they said, no, we'll partner with you. So we became 50-50 partners. We got the place, went through it. We thought we were going to have this thing open in 2 years. It took us 4 years. We just had a long conversation about the red tape and how they drive you crazy. And by the time we opened, we didn't open, 5 of us opened at the same time. So now we're in the position to try to get the consumption lounge, which we have a big space in the back. This building you're in is 12,000 square feet.
That's unbelievable.
So, but it is what it is. It's a business, and you have to be willing to work it and get your customers and get them, to come and enjoy what you do here. So Tretch is my partner from Naughty by Nature. He's a native Jerseyite, and that's what we're doing here.
And philosophy behind what you're trying to present.
Well, the medicine woman is the medicinal purposes of cannabis. That's what the founder, who is Cherish, who's my partner from California, she believes that. That's why it's called the medicine woman. And for people at home, I'm not meaning to cut you off, but for people at home who don't understand, you hear these terms, medical cannabis, recreational cannabis. From my perspective, I believe anybody who comes to cannabis is coming to cannabis for a medical reason. Yeah.
If you consume cannabis, whether it be gummies or tinctures or whatever, and you do that over alcohol, you've made a choice because it's solving some issue that you have, whether it be sleep better, relax when I come home from work, whatever that is. Make it take a little bit of pain. Right. I believe that all consumption of cannabis is medical. But go ahead. Yeah, I agree too. It alters the way you feel. Correct.
Everything you do. I wish I could relax right now. I need a little help. Whatever. And like we say, cannabis is nothing. It's not dangerous. It's not as dangerous as alcohol
by any stretch.
Now, like I said, with alcohol, I'm not a drinker. I never drank. But now that I'm not in that same danger space that I grew up in. If I'm out at a party with you, I'll socially drink. I'm not going to be the one to put it down.
But now, soon enough, you'll be able to socially drink with a cannabis drink.
Yeah.
Instead of which I tell you, I enjoy because I swear I haven't touched a sip of alcohol since my day of being diagnosed with MS.
See.
Oh, I should. I clear myself up because I'm not a liar. However, every New Year's Eve for the last 25 years. Mm-hmm. Somebody will pour me that glass of champagne 2 minutes before midnight. I take a sip, put it down. You can walk around behind me, and that same glass will be sitting on the table. That's
what I mean. That's what I mean. I'm not going to sit up here and lie and say I don't drink, right? But I'm not a drinker. I don't have beers in my house. I don't have this, that, and the other. But I'm not afraid of it. I'm not afraid of marijuana. Right. I'm afraid of cocaine.
Oh,
I'm afraid of heroin, but I'm not afraid of marijuana. I don't. So I didn't. Ice-T. I got to tell the truth. Mm-hmm. I found out my brand is honesty.
Gotcha. And
that's policy.
Correct. And talking about brands, again, being joined by Rick and Laura, you decided to do something. We're like on the same page almost at the same time. You decided to team up with these guys to come up with your own strain. Why?
Well, it was brought to me, they crossed paths with one of my partners in Los Angeles who, said, hey, I got some people that they create seeds. They would like to do a seed with you. Now, Laura said when she met him, he said, I know Ice-T. A light went off in their head and said, man, Ice would be a good person to do something with if he's into it. I'm like, yo, right now I'm doing vape pens. I have a deal with Dime. I'm doing vape pens. So I'm in the space right now. So I'm like, cool, let's do it. I don't know anything about seeds. Right. And I just sat up here with
Mr. Soul?
Mr. Soul, and he just broke that shit down on a molecular level that blew my fucking mind. I'm like, yo, talking about the female and the male and the what would you call
pollination?
No, what was the other ones? The guy, not the eunuchs,
pollen donor, where we reverse the female. Hermaphrodites.
Hermaphrodites. Gotcha. I'm like, yo, what the fuck is that? Well, we in a porn movie? Like, what's going on? Then he said he was a nuclear physicist. I'm like, yo, where am I at? But it's all interesting to me, and it's fascinating to me. And I'm at this point, like I say, in my life, that I want to do things that are important. I've had a lot of fun. I've done a lot of things that are just bullshit, but let's do some important things, And if opening people's eyes to this, like you've been doing, is going to help, then let's do it, I mean, how much time do you have on earth? Do some things that's going to affect other people in the future.
You know, if you live your life for self alone, you've
Yeah.
lived a worthless life.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? As long as you're living your life for others, and that's part of the reason why I've been such an advocate when it comes to cannabis, because from my perspective, a medical perspective, and I don't knock anybody, and believe me, I don't knock anybody who's recrecreationally using it.
Right.
That's what they think they're doing, because again, I say
Right.
they don't know that they're really doing it for medical
really
purposes
all
anyway.
medical.
Right.
But you know, I feel like what I learned for myself, if I take it to the grave and don't share it, then I've had a worthless life.
Right.
And
I feel that.
Yeah.
And the Brothers Grimm, I mean, you know, we know for a fact you guys have been, you know, the #1 seed cultivators in America and probably the world.
Well,
For how long now?
Very early on. We started in 1997, started Brothers Grimm in Boston back in 1997 from a very small beginning of just being on an online message board, talking about what we were doing in our basements, you know, a group of about a few dozen of us. And we got the idea to start a seed company one day, and it just took off because we had the right stuff. You know, it was one of those deals of people want a certain quality. They had certain issues in the growing community that they were having. The word that Ice-T mentioned a moment ago, the hermaphrodite problem back in the 90s was huge because there were many strains that would, as you grew them, you're thinking that this is a female plant, and then it turns out to have male flowers on it. And the reason that that's a problem, so that everybody understands, is that pollen being produced in a grow room where you're trying to grow seedless marijuana messes that up and creates seeds. And when you're selling marijuana, the thing that makes it valuable is that it's a material that you will use to medicate yourself. And when you buy it by weight. And if seeds are in it, they're adding to the weight, but they won't get you high because there's no THC in the seeds.
Correct.
So that messes up a crop if you get seeds in it. You were intending for it to be seedless. And so we've perfected the way of making seeds that come out female without any hermaphroditism in them.
Wow.
So that was one of the huge things
And your
that makes us
strain,
special.
your new strain is going to be called BodyCount?
That's what
there's
they
the box.
decided. Yeah, this is a box. They just decided. I said, okay, let's call it Body Count. Let's happen it. So yeah, that's the name of the seed. And I really can't wait to see the actual flower that grows from this seed.
Yeah, I'm excited myself because I've got
What's yours called?
Called Dream Widow.
Okay.
And, you know, I mean, anybody who knows the strains for a long period of time, mine's a combination of Blue Dream and White Widow.
Okay.
And I got introduced to White Widow, I'm telling you, this is back 2001, 2002 in Amsterdam, in Holland, because they had White Widow and had White Rhino.
Yep.
And I literally used to fly back and forth just to go. And every 3 months, I was over there sitting in the coffee shop. I walk in the front door and grab White Rhino, or I grab a King Hussein key for what they were pressing into hash back then. And I'd be there for 4 or 5 days trying to figure out how to get back home. But I also remember, you know, again, when you look at those two strains, they're not those 28, 29% THC strains. No. They are lower in THC. And I got a better euphoria out of it, a better bodily feeling out of it. And I thought, damn, now I guess this has been done before, but whoever did it before didn't really use the original. They didn't have the original genomes, and you guys have them.
Right.
That's what sets Brothers Grimm apart.
We started so long ago that it was during Prohibition, and when everything was kind of a pure state versus today.
Everything's hybridized.
Yeah, the hybridization of all the different strains, it creates what we call polyhybrid, where then using that as a parent, you don't have predictable results in the offspring because there are too many possibilities for rearrangement of the genes when the seeds are made. And so you get a lot of variation in the phenotypes of the plants. Whereas by starting back when we did, where it was mostly landrace origin strains, when you combine them, you get a very predictable result. And not only that, we save the original parents from every batch of seeds that we make, so that when we have a successful batch of seeds, we can recreate them exactly over and over by having those same two parents used as the parents.
And you also, your seeds are a little different than most other seeds because they literally are I would say, dumb grower friendly. I mean, you put them in a grow, right?
We go to a lot of effort to make sure that the seeds are like hand-picked. Laura and myself or one of our staff will be eyeballing every pack of seeds as it's being
If
created.
everything tested,
And
everything
we
is stable.
Right. And Laura's instituted a lot of scientific testing procedures and so on so that we can assure that when the seeds are purchased by our customers, they're going to already have been checked off for
Germination,
Yeah,
HLV,
right, help
diseases,
me.
pest control,
she knows
mold,
all
all
this.
that stuff. So we test for everything with Colorado State University.
That's incredible. And you guys are literally teaming up to make sure that you do a special donation for your seeds. Talk about that.
It's going to be $1 per pack to I
forgot the organization's name.
minorities for marijuana.
Right. There you go.
When we're talking about something that's responsible for $37 billion worth of sales in the legal market, and we all know for a fact that the illegal market is at least 3 times and possibly 4 times greater than the
think it should be
legal market. So we're talking $100
Billion.
billion worth of product being sold, more peer-reviewed, studied, published documents on cannabis than any other drug in the world. Do you know we've been averaging 3,500 peer-reviewed studied documents out on cannabis in the last 5 years? And so they think there's well over 35,000. Dude, there's not even 1,000 articles written on aspirin. You know what I mean? There's not 1,000 There's not 1,000 articles written on some of the chemo that they're shoving in people's bodies. Where we know that from a medicinal standpoint, cannabis, we're barely even scratching the surface. What do you think, my friend?
Well, let's put it like this. The more the feds get involved with it, the more difficult it'll be. That's what I see. I mean, all right, if you're selling it on the street, there's no difficulties. You're just selling it. There's no hoops to jump through. Just trying to open up this legal has been a nightmare. There's so many restrictions, so many this, so many that, but at least you're legit. But it's difficult. So now add the feds, dear God, and will there be any money left for the actual retail spaces to make any money?
They are raping you guys, man. I'm telling you, I can't understand why we have to put a 25% tax on anything. And, you look at what they're trying to do in New York. The good thing about seeds are a little different. They're a little different because seeds allow for home grow.
Right.
And allow for individuals to grow.
Well,
seeds don't have any cannabis in them.
We're not regulated by the federal,
I wouldn't talk too much.
But you're under the hemp bill, right?
Yes, we're under the federal hemp bill.
But that federal hemp bill comes up for review. I think it's next year, or is it the following year?
I think they just threw it out.
They threw out the federal hemp bill?
The seed portion of that.
Listen, Montel, for God's sake, don't tell people you're making money and they're not getting none.
Right.
Don't start
That's
that.
a recipe for disaster.
They'll be like, wait a minute. Somebody will be up there and, wait a minute. What about the seeds? Are we? No. We just heard they're making this much money. And all of a sudden,
no,
here
you're
they
right.
come knocking.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's a cold game.
And I can clarify a little bit what Laura was alluding to a moment ago about the seed rule that they just threw out. And that was this. Seeds, because under the law, the FDA has designated hemp as being defined by any part of the marijuana plant that has 0.3% THC or less. Now, a seed has no THC at all, though it may grow into a plant later that would produce THC. At the time while it's a seed, it's still considered hemp. And so our product is not a marijuana product, technically.
Correct.
It is a hemp product, and that allows us to sell the seeds over borders of states and put it in the mail. We've been whitelisted by the USPS thanks to Laura's efforts and clearing all those hurdles. And the law was about to be changed from that to, some seeds are THC producing versus a hemp producing seed.
So
and they were going to split that hair and try and say, well, we're going to say
the plant that produces
the seed, right. And so the seeds that we would produce that do grow into THC producing plants would then be designated as different and not hemp, and they would be called marijuana.
You can't do that.
They can't do it because it hasn't existed yet.
That's right. As it exists, it is
right.
cannabis free.
And that's a great point, because I always say that it would set a precedent in the world that if you said, okay, but this this particular object
How about
is being defined by what it may be under certain conditions in the
like
future
selling
versus
Okay,
what it
let's-
is right now.
Let's outlaw beer because there's hops.
Yeah.
Let's outlaw yeast because it can help turn the hops into alcohol.
Hey, you got to realize, man, due to just do an executive order, like all these things that are rules are only rules that they create another law.
Right.
Yeah.
So right now you're in a good space, but like,
Yeah.
don't even let
Anything
it
could happen.
Just give me an idea. Where do you see the industry? I mean, you're right now, ICE trying to get, a consumption lounge. And I know, you just scratching the surface. You don't know when you open up that door, how it's like a clown thing. You open up that door and not many clowns are going to come jumping out at you to try to stop you. But let's think this out. What do you think? Where do you think the industry is going to be in 5 years? Where do you think it's going to be in 10 years?
I just think it'll be normal. I just think, it'll be like a normal lounge with alcohol, but it'll just actually be marijuana. I just think it'll be something simple. Like, I hope it'll be legal. Like I say, it's not hurting anybody. I just think the government and everybody just got to figure out how to get their cut.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
But the more and more they do that, try to figure out how to get their cut, they keep pushing it more and more underground. And I'm sorry, there are some nefarious people out there in the underground market doing some really nasty crap, like, tainting, junk weed with fentanyl. And, for all my listeners out there, I'm going to tell you, I don't care if you think that the dispensaries are a little bit higher than that shit that Billy Bob, drops off over your fence in the backyard. It's safer. That's the one part about this that I think you're going to have to agree. Not you, I mean, my listeners got to agree. Going to a dispensary, going to a place that's a legitimate place that at least the weed's being tested.
paying a little premium.
Pay a little premium, but I the first person that walks out, and we've had a couple people in Vegas, get really, really sick by using some of this stuff that's being sold in the gas stations. You have people all over the
Oh,
country
hell yeah.
that are
Was
getting
that
really, really
K2
sick.
or whatever?
Oh my goodness, come on now, because they spray all the stuff from under your kitchen sink on it before they give it to you. Yeah. So, so you think 5 years? Change, same.
I mean, I
still
hope
If
battle?
we educate more.
I hope so. Once again, I just keep repeating myself, but I say I don't see anything wrong with it. I've only seen things good with it. The vibe of the people, our customers that come in here are all mellow. Everybody's chill. It's not a liquor store. It's a cannabis dispensary. It's mellow. It's cool. It's chill, and I think it does a good service to the community. It doesn't bring anything bad. I don't see. Like I said, I think it's important.
Absolutely. Laura, what do you think?
I think that if we can create a little bit more awareness and education, I think that it'll continue to flourish. But there's a lot of things changing with the industry now, where it's becoming a little bit more, rooted in greed and lack of education. It's making it more about getting high rather than it being a medicinal.
And it's not only greed coming from the industry; it's greed coming from the states who are trying to get greedy on how much they tax.
1,000%.
One thing I like to say is that people immediately think, "Oh, well, if you have a dispensary, you guys are getting rich." It's not like that.
No, it's not.
It's not like that. I mean, you're scraping by, and whatever profit you thought you were going to make, you're paying that out. So, you want to go black market, you want to sell out of your trunk, you're going to make 100% profit. Not legal.
No.
Not legal. It's more
not with any
difficult.
business.
It's just like, so, that's the thing. People are like, oh, you guys overspending, you're taking it to the bank. I'm like, nah, maybe 5 years ago.
Right.
But now,
For a minute.
it's just a normal business.
Yeah.
The
Rick, what do you
gold
think?
rush is over.
Gold rush is
Those
better.
first few years were very lucrative, but the controls and the over saturation of the product hitting the market drove the prices down, and that really leveled things out to where there were a lot of people that were thriving at first, and then they actually went out of business. They couldn't make a profit. Seeds are different. It's certainly not the same kind of product. We don't see the kind of price fluctuations on a pack of seeds that the people see on an ounce of weed or something like that. But looking forward to the next 5 to 10 years, as you started out with your questioning, I think that what we lack here in this country that we see like in countries like Holland and Amsterdam being a city that's very cannabis friendly. Our lounges, like what Ice-T is proposing to make here, that's lacking in our culture, in our cannabis culture. We can produce the marijuana legally, we can sell it legally in a dispensary, but they haven't thought it through all the way to like, where are the consumers going to consume and socialize together when they have their cannabis?
One of the most social
And so we really
products on the
need
planet.
places like that. I think if anything, it'll normalize marijuana use, and it'll also make it more obvious the effects that Ice-T was alluding to earlier.
Thanks for joining me on Let's Be Blunt with Montel. Please make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell to be notified when new episodes post each week. We'd love to hear your feedback also, so please send us your comments. Military Makeover is so grateful for the support of Purple Heart Homes, a nonprofit organization that rebuilds and transforms the homes for our veterans.
Our heroes come home with sacrifices most of us can't imagine. As a veteran myself, I've been there and founded Purple Heart Homes to help.
When I tell the story of Purple Heart Homes, it's the freedom to not have to depend on somebody else to do the simple everyday things in life.
Visit phhusa.org/makeover to learn how you can help.